Okay, in this lesson, we're going to look at the big layout blocks that we have set up in our theme and see how our dimensions are defined in CSS. So using the box model. So let's take a look. We've got our site background image and we have our content area below. We're going to deal with the styling of the menu and the header at another time. Right now, we're just going to deal with these big blocks. So our background, we want to be gray here, and this background needs to blend into a color so that when we have a little bit of overlap, it doesn't look so jaggedy. So if I go down to my body, and I'm going to give it that background color that I gave to the larger media query, larger dimension, 523339. So now our background is that color. Okay. And what I have down here is this area. Now I want to give this the background of the gray. So this was the body, which wraps around the entire site. And then this area here is our site area. So if I went to site, right now we have that transparent background. If I gave that the CCC, you can see it fills it in here, but you've got a little bit of, but it fills it in everywhere. We want the top area to be transparent and the content area to have the solid color. So I'm going to go back and make that transparent again. Okay. Okay, and for the site content, I'm actually going to make that the gray color. So copy and paste here, and I'm going to go ahead and do CCC. And so now what I have is the content at the bottom is now on the gray, and I have this is nice and transparent up top. If I go to the larger dimensions, let's take a look, and it does it for the same. So it's still going to be using at the larger sizes those same specifications. Let's see. Good. So this looks good except for the fact that it doesn't fill out the space. Now if we go into our inspector and we see using this is the box model. So let's take a look. If I scroll over the site, you can see that it's highlighting the content areas, those divisions within the HTML code that designate what areas are what. Now right now I can see that I have, if I click, let me see, I'm going to find this overall site area. If I click here, here's my site. And what it's doing is it's got our margins in orange, our padding is in green, and our border is in yellow here. So right now we can see that it's giving me 24 pixels of padding on the outside. So where is that? It's in the site header. It's in the site overall here. So if I go back to my style editor and I take a look, I can see that there it is. There's my padding. So it's giving me that 24 pixel padding. This has the style sheet for 2012 gives you both REM and pixel dimensions. There's a division by 14, I believe. So if you take 24 divided by 14, you get 1.714285714. We're going to get into that a little bit in another lesson. Suffice it to say that we're basically just going to copy and paste these right now. We're not going to do any changes to the actual dimensions themselves. So I'm going to copy that padding and actually put it in my site content. So there you see that I added the padding here. I'm also going to get rid of that 0 there so that we have a little bit of padding up top. So there's padding up top, padding on the side. There we go. And I'm going to make my margin 0 for the site content. 0. And I'm going to make it padding 0 for site. So now if you watch, when I got rid of the padding, it gets rid of that extra space on the left and right. And I'm just going to make it padding 0, because 0 is 0 no matter if it's pixels or ems. Now when I go back to my larger sizes, I see that it's filling out nicely. I have a little bit of space on the side. I'm going to figure out where this is coming from. But as you can see, now we don't have that sort of weirdness happening with the white. We're going to get rid of some of this dimension some of this extra padding once we get into some of this area, content area. But if we open up here, now I can see that there's a little bit of weirdness happening once I get a little larger. So what I'm going to do is go down to my media query. So it looks like if we go down to 768, I don't have that shadow and I don't have that extra space up top. But once I get 800, it adds this extra shadow. So what I'm going to do is go down to my media query for the 800 pixels. And if we remember right, it's down here at minimum width 600. It's not there. It's down below. It's at minimum width 800 pixels. There's our background image. There's our site. And that is where we're getting that extra junk. We are going to get rid of that padding. Okay. We're going to get rid of that margin at the top. Zero margin. I'm just going to get rid of this. Great. So now the last thing that I want to do, let's see how it looks when I go wide. Yeah, so I didn't want to get rid of that padding, actually. We're just going to get rid of the margin here. So margin is 0. So we got rid of that margin up top. Great. Good, so we still have a little bit of space on the side. I'll go down even smaller, it looks fine. But we do have this little shadow here, so we're going to get rid of that. Box shadow 0. Now if we just get rid of it, actually yeah, we can just get rid of it. Because it is, let's see what happens when we go to 1200. 1280, yeah, that looks good. So there we have it. So we looked at some of the major content areas, the site, the body, and we looked at one of the media queries. In the next session, we are going to look at custom fonts.